Hello, everyone, and welcome to Story Time on Thursday, the 4th of February. We've just got to chapter 5, which is called Special Sweeties. If you remember, Alfie had just been given a toothbrush and toothpaste by Miss Root, who wanted to call her Mummy. It's strange. Right, let's see what happens next.
Now, be a good boy and pop back to your seat,
ordered Miss Root. Alfie did what he was told. Not wanting to catch anyone's eyes for fear of further humiliation, he put his head down as he trudged back to his seat.
Now, children,
continued the lady,
who else would like a present? I have some free sweeties.
Hundreds of hands shot up, and soon the hall was humming with the chattering of excited children.
But don't sweets rot your teeth?
Shouted out Gabs. Miss Root glared at her, then smiled.
Oh, aren't you a feisty one? What's your name, girl?
The girl hesitated, but eventually said, Gabs.
Well, of course, young Gabriella is right. Normally sweeties do rot your teeth, but not these ones. No, Mummy's sweeties are special. All my sweeties are completely sugar-free, so you can eat as many as you like.
From under the trolley she pulled out a tray and whisked a white sheet off the top of it. Underneath was a huge pile of brightly coloured goodies. There were chocolates and more chocolates, toffees and fudge,
Sucky sweets and chewy sweets, fruity ones and minty ones, melt-in-your-mouth sweets, crunchy sweets, fizzy sweets, explosive sweets. Come on, children, don't be scared. Come and help yourselves to Mummy's special sweeties.
In an instant, hundreds of children surged forward and started eagerly grabbing huge handfuls of sweets. As many as they grabbed, and the greedy little boys and girls were stuffing their faces and pockets, there seemed to be more and more and more.
Take as many as you like, Miss Root called over the din. I can always magic up some more.
Alfie noticed Gabs was sitting stock still in her seat. Aren't you going to try any? asked Alfie. Gabs shook her head. No. Why not? Haven't you ever heard the tale about the brother and sister who go into the woods and find the house made of sweets? Alfie was surprised that the little girl's imagination had run away with her like this. Hansel and Gretel? Yes, of course. Everyone has, but that's just a stupid fairy story. Gabs turned her head and fixed him with a stare. It's not stupid, and just because it's a fairy story doesn't mean it never happened, she said, before turning her gaze back to the dentist, who was smiling broadly with those impossibly white teeth of hers, as the kids filled all their pockets with sweets. Strangely, however many the children took, there were more and more and more filling the tray. Along the rows, just one boy stayed glued to his chair. It was Texting Boy. He was still texting. On his way home from school that afternoon, Alfie wanted to dispose of the presents Miss Root had given him as quickly as possible. He didn't trust that lady one bit. There was something deeply disturbing about her. That splash of red on her shoe, the creep around the hall in the minute's silence for the dead dentist, and those sugar-free sweets that never ran out were just too good to be true. So when Alfie crossed the bridge over the canal, as he always did on his way to and from school, he stopped. He pulled the toothbrush and toothpaste out of his blazer pocket. He examined the label. Mummy's. It was such a comforting brand name. How could you not trust anything called Mummy's? The boy unscrewed the lid of the tube. Immediately some sticky yellow gunk, the colour of pus, snaked out of the end. It smelt rank, like warm sick. A small glob of it fell to the ground. It hissed and fizzed as it bore its way through the stone bridge like acid. What is in that toothpaste? Thought Alfie. Just then he noticed the paste was still oozing out of the tube. It was moving dangerously close to his fingers. A smidgen of it landed on his skin, and instantly he could feel it burning. Ow! Screamed the boy. He quickly threw the tube into the canal below. It plopped into the water. and he watched as the tube sank to the bottom, the paste still snaking out. Then Alfie noticed he still had the hard-wired toothbrush Miss Root had given him in his other hand. The bristles looked like they would scratch your teeth away rather than clean them, so he threw the brush in the canal too. As Alfie took a couple of paces to continue on his journey home, a strange sound stopped him in his tracks. Looking back, he saw that beneath the bridge, the water in the canal was bubbling and boiling. It was like a mini volcano erupting. The boy watched in horror as a school of dead fish plopped to the surface and floated there. As he peered down at the water, a gaggle of kids from his school passed him, laughing and joking, their mouths full of mummy's chocolates and toffees and fruit chews. Every single child looked like they couldn't be happier, greedily munching and crunching and scrunching them. That's what her toothpaste does, thought Alfie. What on earth is in those special sweets of hers? Chapter 6. The Intruder. You must be Alfred, boomed a voice when he walked in the front door of his little bungalow, which squatted in an estate on the edge of town. Who are you? Demanded the boy. Alfie was very protective of his dad and didn't like seeing strangers in the bungalow. A flamboyantly dressed lady had plonked herself down in the living room with Dad. Her ample frame was taking up more than one place on the worn and torn sofa. The riot of colour in her mist-matched outfit, yellow scarf, pink stripy leggings, green top, and an electric blue shiny plastic coat, looked decidedly out of place in the small grey room. In fact, it would have looked out of place anywhere. Dad was sitting in his wheelchair in the corner of the room where he always was, a frayed tartan blanket covering his knees. It was cold in the bungalow. The central heating had been cut off a few winters ago. In truth, their little home was falling to pieces. Since Dad had been confined to a wheelchair, the bungalow had fallen into a state of disrepair. Despite Alfie's best efforts, water poured in through the roof when it rained. Cracks had appeared in most of the windows, and mould was creeping up the walls all the way to the ceiling. Oh, son, this is... Dad took a loud, shallow breath. Winnie, she's a social worker. A what? Asked Alfie, still staring rather rudely at the intruder. No need to be worried about me, young man, ha-ha, proclaimed the big jolly lady, as she plumped up a cushion and placed it behind Dad's back. I'm here from the council. Social workers like me just want to help. We don't need any help, thank you, said Alfie. I look after my father better than anyone else could, don't I, Dad? Dad smiled at his son, but didn't say anything. I'm sure you do, replied Winnie with a smile. By the way, it's very nice to meet you, young man, she said, reaching out one of her podgy hands with fingers like bejewelled sausages. Alfie just stared at it. Shake a hand, son. Be a good boy, implored Dad. Alfie reluctantly let his little hand meet hers. The social worker gripped it tight and shook it so vigorously the boy thought his poor arm would be yanked out of its socket. The multicoloured plastic bracelets that adorned her wrists rattled loudly as she did so. Now, young Alfred, could I trouble you for a cup of tea? Bellowed Winnie. Yes, a pot of tea would be lovely, thanks, prompted Dad. Then we can all sit down together and have a good talk. I can't have coffee, it goes right through me, ha-ha, added the social worker. Alfie stared at this intruder as he backed out of the living room to make the tea. Father and son always shared a pot of tea when Alfie returned home from school. He would lay out a tray with 2 cups. It had been just 2 cups for as long as he could remember. One thing the boy had learned from his father was that however poor they were, they should still take great pride in life's simple pleasures. So when Alfie made the tea, he would try his hardest to make everything just so. As the kettle was boiling, he fetched a little chip teapot with the lid missing and placed it on a tray he had liberated from the school cafeteria. Then he took 2 cups out of the cupboard. There were only 2 cups in the house, so Alfie had to think on his feet. Eventually he found an egg cup and put it on the tray. That would do for his mouthful of tea. The milk jug was really a moonlighting gravy boat Alfie had bought in a charity shop sale. Last but not least, the boy took out a cracked plate and arranged 3 crumbling, out-of-date chocolate biscuits on it. The local newsagent had given Alfie a free packet one day when the boy looked particularly hungry. With a proud smile on his face, Alfie entered the living room carrying the tray. Carefully he placed it down on the coffee table. Well, it was really just an upturned cardboard box, but he and Dad called it the coffee table. "I have heard so much about you from your father, young Alfred," said Winnie, spraying biscuit crumbs all over the boy and the carpet, and even as far away as the curtains as she spoke. She took a large and noisy slurp of her tea from her cup and washed the remainder of the biscuit down her throat. "Ah," she sighed, smacking her bright pink painted lips together. "That's better. I'm so looking forward to getting to know—" As she spoke, Alfred tried to smile and sipped some tea from his egg cup, feeling somehow like a tiny giant. Winnie peered at the boy. She slid along the sofa and her big fat face came close to his, like a hippopotamus inspecting a little bird that's landed on his nose. "Oh, my word! Look at the boy's teeth!" "My what?" said Alfie. "Teeth." "My teeth?" replied Alfie, confused. "Yes, boy," said the social worker in a frustrated tone. "Your teeth." "I think Winnie means your teeth," ventured Dad. "Yes, that's what I said," implored the lady. "Teat, Teeth, teat." All right. What about my teeth?" asked Alfie, before quickly closing his mouth to hide them. He knew he wasn't going to be asked to star in a toothpaste advert any time soon, but they hadn't all fallen out yet. No, that won't do. Oh, my word, that won't do at all. As your social worker, the first thing I'm going to do for you—" "Yes," gulped the boy, guessing what might be coming, "is make you an appointment with the dentist." Chapter 7. Secrets. Alfie gave his father a look, imploring him to throw this annoying lady out. Now, however, Dad turned to face her, squinting a little at the rioter colour. "I think that's a very good idea, Winnie. I don't want any more of his teeth falling out before his 13th birthday." "No," laughed Winnie. "We don't want that. A quick trip to the dentist will sort the boy out." Without asking, she helped herself to the 3rd chocolate biscuit. It was the last one on the plate. Even though it had a hint of mould, Alfie had been eyeing up that biscuit for the last 10 minutes. That was all he was going to eat this evening for his dinner. The woman wolfed it down whole and took another deafening slurp of her tea. She smacked her lips together again and then let out another sigh. It was only the 2nd time she'd done the slurpy routine in front of him, but Alfie couldn't hide how deeply annoying he found it. Dad broke the uncomfortable silence. "Oh, it's so nice to have a visitor, isn't it, Alfie?" The boy said nothing. Winnie slurped and ahed again before inquiring, "Have you got any more of these yummy biscuits?" She laughed at the end of her own sentences in that irritating way jolly people often do. "Yes," said Dad, "we should have another biscuit in the tin, shouldn't we, Alfie?" Still the boy sat in silence, staring at this multicoloured munching machine. "Well," prompted Dad, "go and bring another biscuit for the nice lady." "Another one, chocolate one if you have it, please," added Winnie brightly. "Naughty, I know. I have to watch my figure, but I do love chocolate bickies." Slowly Alfie stood up and trudged to the kitchen. He knew there was one last chocolate biscuit in the tin, but he had been saving that for their dinner tomorrow night, half each. As he passed the scratched and mottled mirror in the hall, Alfie paused for a minute. He needed to pluck the larger fragments of spit-sodden biscuit that had sprayed out of the social worker's mouth from his hair. "You must be very proud of him, Mr. Griffith," said Winnie. Alfie could hear them from the hall. "It's Griffith." "That's what I said, Griffith." "Griffith," repeated Dad. "Yes," said the woman in an exasperated tone. "Griffith, Griffith." Well, yes, of course. I'm very proud of my pup, wheezed Dad. Long sentences sometimes got the better of him. Your pup? Yes, that's what I call him sometimes.
I see.
Over the years, he's looked after me so well. His whole life he has been looking after me, but Dad's voice lowered to nearly a whisper now. I didn't tell him, but I had a fall last week while he was at school. I didn't want to worry him.
Yes, I can understand that.
Alfie shifted his weight so he was standing nearer the door. The boy listened intently as the grown-ups talked. I'm going to stop there and we'll start back again tomorrow and find out why Dad fell out of his chair. So, have a good evening, enjoy your tea, and don't forget to clean your teeth.